they have restored law and order and the rule of law in Colombia because we used our military against the traffickers. We did it quietly. We didn't advertise that we were doing it, but we used some very sophisticated techniques, some technology, some special forces, some intelligence. The other thing that we can do is what we did when Kiki Camarena was murdered by the cartels in 1985, a DEA agent who was tortured and murdered. We shut that border down for a couple of days, and it strangled the Mexican economy. And we need to start playing hardball with Mexico and closing our own borders down.
That was former FBI Assistant Director Christopher Swecker with me earlier this morning. He explained that the U.S. precedent for using military force against Mexican cartels. But the White House is still refusing to even discuss the idea. 2 of the 4 Americans who were abducted have been found dead. The other 2 reportedly back in the United States. Mexican officials arrested 1 suspect connected to the violent kidnapping. He was the one who was guarding the shed that the 4 were being held in. Joining me right now is Florida Congressman, member of the House Armed Services and Foreign Affairs Committees, Cory Mills. He's also an Army combat veteran himself. Congressman, thanks very much for being here this morning. What is your takeaway to this story?
Well, look, at the end of the day, it's great that we're able to get the 2 back, but it's unfortunate that we've lost 2 Americans due to the gang activity and cartels. We have to look at some facts here, and that's what Senator Ted Cruz was talking about just the other night, where he said that, in 2018, you had the Mexican cartels at around $500 million a year, and that's a lot of money. But now you look at it under Joe Biden, where it is $13 billion, most of which is in human trafficking, sex trafficking. We have to start looking at the ideas of getting back to counter-narco-terrorism operations. We have to start looking at what the CBP chief had just said, and I'm reading this right now from Raul Ortiz. Just last week, we had over 35,000 apprehensions, over 13,000 known getaways, over 300 pounds of fentanyl. This is a huge cartel who is actually launching and waging war at our southern borders. And meanwhile, Joe Biden and his administration has done nothing to secure our borders. They are still in the catch and release programs, the soft on crime policies. They are endangering the lives of Americans, and we need to take affirmative action.
Well, I mean, what does that mean? Because this week, Bill Barr did an op-ed talking about using the military, talking about taking these cartels seriously, and that means not a wide open border.
That's exactly right, Maria, and we have to acknowledge the fact that we want to prioritize ourselves with wars that are 9,000 miles away. Meanwhile, 900 miles away, we have an actual war that is being waged against the American people with regards to poisoning from fentanyl, with regards to sex trafficking, human crisis, with regards to actual attacks on our CBP and our LEO. We have to acknowledge the fact that these cartels have stepped up their game, and that it is time for the Americans to actually answer with force.
I mean, it's just incredible to me that these guys, these dangerous cartels are making billions of dollars every week, and that's just on human trafficking. That doesn't even include the drugs that they're trafficking around. We all know that the underlying chemicals of fentanyl are made in China. We've got a new Gallup poll found that only 15% of Americans now view China favorably. 47% say that China-Taiwan conflict is a critical threat to the United States' interest. Fox Business's Edward Lawrence grilled the White House on the Biden administration's push for competition. They keep talking about competition, not adversarial issues about the communist country. Watch this.
Is there concern that the administration line that they want competition over conflict is seen as weakness by the Chinese?
I'm not sure how it's seen as weakness when we are more prepared to outcompete China and protect the national security under this president.
So what do you think, Congressman? Is it showing weakness that Joe Biden can't seem to call China an adversary?
Well, it's an absolute weakness, Maria. And if you noticed, in just last week's HFAC, the Foreign Affairs Committee, that's exactly the question that I went after with the State Department in the USA, which is that what is the definition of conflict? When you're talking about the economic resource, the poisoning of Americans, the cyber warfare, the billions of intellectual property that is stolen from our companies, that is actual conflict. And we have to acknowledge the fact that Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea are geopolitically aligned. Their goal is to eliminate the U.S. dollar from being the global currency. currency. And they're doing this through the Eurasian expansion, which is what Russia's proxy militia is doing there in Ukraine. They're going to take Africa and Oceania from the portage and railways. They're going to cut off Western Hemisphere supply chain while attacking our actual petroleum dollar when replacing it with a petro yuan or the petro ruble.
Yeah.
We have to acknowledge the fact that these are adversaries and that we must take affirmative action. We must identify them as adversaries, get back to energy dominance, and get back to onshoring businesses here at home.
Well, weren't we just talking about the potential for the Saudis to use the yuan in terms of transacting for oil with China? And yet China keeps dressing the U.S. down, okay? The foreign minister sent another warning to the United States about supporting Taiwan, Congressman. You know, they say the ties to the U.S. are going off the rails. So, you know, what should the United States be doing now to push back on this rhetoric from the CCP?
Well, look, at the end of the day, Maria, weakness invites aggression. We know that this has all started as the Biden administration's approach to the botched Afghan withdrawal. We know that we have seen no actual ability for the Biden administration to call out China. So right now what we need to be doing is actually approaching them as the adversaries they are, getting back to the economic growth that we need here at home, stopping any type of reliancy on Russia and China from any perspective, and making sure that we're guarding and protecting U.S. interests at home.
Well, look, we know that the House Foreign Affairs Committee is holding the first hearing on the Afghanistan withdrawal later today. You were the first U.S. citizen to travel to Afghanistan to help rescue civilians. I remember what you were doing at the time. What do you want to get out of that hearing?
Well, I think that what we really need is transparency and accountability. We need to show the American people that this was about political optics over military strategy. You know, the idea of shutting down Bagram Air Base instead of actually maintaining two running at the same time simultaneously so that people can utilize their commercial flights home. The fact that those 13 brave service members who lost their lives and their Gold Star families could have been avoidable. The fact that we had 40,000 people who were released in the Bagram Detention Center who were known terrorists. But here's the worst part, Maria. You also had $80+ billion in weapons and armament and defense articles and ammunition and millions of dollars of cash that was left to the Taliban, to the Haqqani network, and to ISIS Khorasan. Joe Biden has single-handedly armed and equipped one of the worst terrorist organizations in the world, and there needs to be transparency and accountability held.
That's unbelievable. Why? Why not take the equipment out first? This makes no sense, Congressman, and you talked about it after the withdrawal very much. So, Congressman, thanks very much. We'll be watching your work. Cory Mills joining us this morning.